It sounds like that. What?
I think that's new.
What the hell?
Yeah.
But what the fuck? Why does it sound like that?
Because it's automated. But
I was so emotionally unprepared for now recording. Shit, I was so unprepared for that.
yeah, hello listeners and welcome to episode 2 of the Be Right Back podcast. It is me, it's Phil, with my friend Rose. And again, just a very quick reminder before we begin that a few things are still subject to change pending some development, which is mainly just the opening music. I think I accidentally cut that bit out last episode, but yeah, so some point that will change to an official theme tune. But we begin tonight, Rose, with bad news.
Oh no. What's gone wrong?
The place near where I live that sold square pizza has closed down.
You can't like order like square pizza, like you can't like buy like frozen like square pizza because like the grocery stores where I live are like there's like millions of those things.
Yeah, not where I live. So
Oh,
now,
you like file an official complaint about that or something.
so now it's just going to take longer to prove the square pizza theory.
I'm sorry, I might have forgotten. What's the square pizza theory?
About how it's a victimless scam.
Huh?
Because it takes up more room in the pizza box, but uses the same amount of ingredients, and because it's a square, it can be cut into more slices, so you feel like you've had better value for money, even though you've just bought the same amount of pizza. That was the... We went over this in episode 1.
That was okay, to be fair, that was a significant amount of time ago. I don't
Okay,
actually remember how long it was, but that was rather a long time ago.
It was recorded in September, and because of life, it came out in December.
Because of life, that also feels like several 100 million years ago.
Well, I got ill, and then I had Christmas work, and then Christmas happened, so I got it all done just before Christmas.
Yeah, see,
Thankfully,
for
these
me,
are easy to make.
that mostly feels like it was a million years ago because, like, things will simply not stop fucking happening over here in the States. It's kind of a situation.
Yeah, I am aware of all that, but let's not get political on this podcast.
Yeah, no, I was just saying that things will not stop happening. You know, like just it's a time.
Yeah, but yeah. So again, I've been more than a little unemployed since December, but I have figured out, and you're gonna love this.
Yeah.
I have figured out how to break the internet.
All right. Let's hear let's hear it. Let's hear it.
And this is also again the most expensive prank ever. And it's a long game. You need to buy a plot of land and dig it up.
Okay.
And then what you do is you put a fake mosaic in the part you've dug up, and then you bury it again. Let the grass all come back, etc. Then you sell the land to housing development people to build houses on. So that then when they start digging up to put the foundations in, they find this mosaic. And by law, at least in the UK, they have to stop and let archaeologists come along.
Oh no.
But here's the thing. You know mosaics come from the Roman Empire, right?
Yeah.
And you know how the Romans ate... it feels like at the moment we risk starting every episode with talk about pizza, but Romans ate like the first iteration of pizza.
I actually did not know that. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
they ate a version of pizza. And here's where the internet breaking comes in. Is he put down a convincing enough hoax of a mosaic that depicts the Romans putting pineapple on pizza.
Oh my god. Okay, so there's an amount of work that would have to go into that. Like, firstly, you would
Oh,
have to
yes, this
you,
is
you would
some.
have to chemically age this fucking fake mosaic. Honestly, you'd probably be better off like building an actual mosaic and then chemically aging it.
Yeah,
Because,
like I
like,
said,
it's a
this is
mosaic,
some.
it's not, like, completely impossible to make. Like, you could okay, let's, like is it you like, you would have to figure out what material to make it out of to make it, like, accurate and legitimate seeming, and then you would have to actually chemically age it, which I'm pretty sure is, like, at least fairly expensive. I can't imagine chemically aging something is cheap.
You also have to
Um,
dig up the land and refill it and sell it
well,
on.
yeah,
This
of
is a,
course, you also have to come into the money to buy the land in the first place, which
yeah,
is something of a hurdle.
this is a. It's, like I said, this is probably the most expensive prank I think anyone's ever thought of. But that would break the internet because people were bordering on like waging an entire war over whether pineapple can go on pizza or not. And
Yeah.
the reality is I don't really care, but there are people that do. But of
Yeah,
course,
and it's
most
funny it's funny that they do, so let's, like, laugh at them about
yeah,
that.
and most Italians, if you tell them you can put pineapple on a pizza, will probably punch you in the stomach. So you would just break the internet if did the original eaters of pizza put pineapple on it? There would be this massive debate for years to come.
And until inevitably someone finds out that it was a hoax because, they will find out. And then that probably breaks the internet even more because they're like, did we just spend years arguing about something that wasn't even real? This is like the most harebrained fucking psyop I've ever even heard of.
Yeah, that like I said, it's an obscene. This is a prank that is probably set a few $1 million in the making. But
This is some Fae shit right here. Like, this is something that the Fae would do, like, for a laugh, honestly.
yeah, so that's how I would break the internet. But yeah, and as I also mentioned, I have got a few things to talk about today. I might have mentioned when I was arranging this that I have a prediction for 2025, and
I think I remember.
it was in the DMs. But my prediction for 2025, and it's a prediction that I made years ago that I'm sticking to.
Okay, okay. I commend your resolve.
180 hand cannons will make a comeback.
Haven't you predicted this every year, Phil?
Yes,
Because
I
I'm
have.
pretty sure every time we've ever talked about 180 hand cannons, you've said this.
Yes, and they will. I've said it since Season of the Worthy. Look, I also at one point said at some point we're gonna get legendary trace rifles as well, and we did.
Okay, okay.
So
So
look, my prediction of 2025 is that at some point after Frontiers launches, whatever that shape that takes, 180 hand cannons will make a comeback.
all right, well, I mean, I'm not gonna say you want to bet because you have reality bending powers, but I'll be interested to see if you're right.
Although speaking of Destiny,
To be fair
you,
though, like implying saying making a comeback implies that they were ever around in the first place, and they outside of Luna's Howl, Not Forgotten, they just sort of weren't.
fair enough. But again, speaking of Destiny, the newest exotic SMG from Heresy, that Circle One?
I haven't acquired it yet, but yeah, I do
Neither,
know about it.
neither have I. I'm really disappointed that that was an SMG and not like a brand new one of a kind melee weapon. Just because of how it's basically a circle.
You just fucking punch people with it. That sounds
Well,
funny.
well, you could punch it, but you could also then throw it similar to like the Titan shield, as like
Suppose, yeah.
as like the Titan. It just would have been cool. I just think because it's such a perfect design for it, the perfect circle shaped gun. But yeah, that's my current gripe with Destiny Exotics is
The fact that the circle is you can't punch someone in the face with the circle.
well that they missed the opportunity to make like a genuinely exotic weapon.
I mean, it's fucking circular. I think that's pretty exotic.
But the fact that it's just an SMG.
I suppose. I think just the issue is that would be so much extra animation work and like probably not to that significant of a reward, since if I recalling it correctly, it's a semi-secret exotic. So not that many people are going to get their hands on it in the first place.
Well, that'd be even more reason to make it truly exotic. But also, you probably could just use a lot of.
Like a creative perspective, absolutely. But from like a in terms of like you only have a certain amount of money to budget to your animators,
Well, you could probably
no.
just reuse like some of the Titan shield throwing animations.
I mean, I guess that would be really lame if they did that, honestly, if they reused the Titan Shield.
But like not for like the super one, but like just the shield throw.
Oh, I guess so. That's kind of a larger shield, though.
I suppose, but yeah. But then again, it's Bungie, sort of expecting anything truly unique at this point is kind of moot.
I don't know
But
if I'd say that. I mean, there are some aspects of things that are still pretty up there. I mean, they made a fucking trace pulse rifle this season, so
yeah, that was weird. That's a weird one. Speaking of that, I actually had a dyslexic moment in Iron Banner the other day because of that gun.
do
So,
tell.
you know how it's called the Lodestar?
Yeah.
Do you want to know what my dyslexic brain read it as when I got killed by someone using it?
Sure. What?
I read it as the Lobster.
I was honestly waiting for that.
And
I
I'm
don't
just
know. I
like,
don't know how. I just sort of guessed that had to be it. Like I was just like,
and
this is the one.
I remember I got killed. I was thinking, what the fuck is the Lobster?
And it's the lobster. It actually in one of the like Pathfinder campaigns that I'm in, like it was a while ago. It was like 10 sessions ago. We fought a monster called a globster.
Nice.
Hold on, let me find it. Globster. It's a real fucking being of a fucking. I don't think it's a. Why did a concept art for Horizon Forbidden West come up? What the fuck? That's not that ain't it. That ain't it. Is it an NPC gallery? I suppose it would have to be an NPC gallery. Ah, whatever. I can't fucking find it. It was this weird fucking lobster, like It was like blue, like a weird blue lobster fucking creature with like this incredibly strange like. You know, like how some like fantasy monsters just have like a rotating mouth that's just full of teeth. It had one of those, and
Oh,
it was,
right,
like
yeah.
slapped onto a lobster that was also blue. It's
I
really a
think blue lobsters are actually a thing, but they're like a rare version of lobsters or something. But I don't actually know.
it's just a weird fucking creature.
Hmm. So, do you want to know another? Do you want to hear a question I thought to myself randomly also since we were last on air?
Sure.
And again, this is another video, and I'd probably have to ultimately Google it, unfortunately, just for safety. But you ever wonder what happens if you boil an energy drink?
I can't imagine anything good.
Now, I kind of want to find out, but I'd need to get like a portable. My mum said I need to get a portable stove thing so that I could do it outside and not risk
Yeah, I don't know why, but
collapsing.
something tells me that that's going to cause an explosion. I
Mm,
don't really know. It's sort of a gut instinct.
mm. Well, funnily enough, have you been watching Day of the Jackal?
I have no idea what that is.
Oh, so it's a program on Sky Atlantic, and it's basically a modern take on a movie by the same name, but it's a TV series, and it follows an assassin called the Jackal. And in the final episode, they kind of, I don't know how, if this was planned or not, but they sort of accidentally told the audience how to make a bomb.
Ha ha! Yes! Awesome.
For the record, you get a can of deodorant, wrap it in foil, stick it in the microwave.
It's not a bomb with a very long shelf life, is it?
No, he was using it as like a to cover his tracks, so he was blowing up a motorhome that he'd been using. But
I
yeah,
wonder what makes a fucking just deodorant just explode.
I think it's because it's got flammable stuff in it. That's why you can like make a flamethrower.
You make a flamethrower out of deodorant?
Yeah, you just get a naked flame and spray the deodorant into the thing, and it makes a flamethrower.
Huh.
Did
It's
you not
like
know
a
this?
no, I don't. Why would I know that you can make a flamethrower out of deodorant, Phil? Why would I specifically know that?
But you don't know. But you didn't know that deodorants just are flammable. Like they can also set off smoke alarms.
No, I didn't know that deodorant was fucking flammable. Why is deodorant fucking flammable? Who
It's
did this?
the chemicals they put in it. But do you not read the tins? It has the
Why would I
warnings.
read the tins?
Well, how else would you know it was flammable?
I don't fucking know.
But they
When
put
I
the
go to the store and I buy body hygiene products, I don't assume, oh, I need to read the tin to make sure it's not going to catch fire. That's not a thought that goes through my head when I buy fucking deodorant.
But that's why you're not meant to use too much deodorant, because if you make too much of a cloud, it can set off the smoke alarm by accident.
Christ, that
Mm,
is not good.
mm. But yeah, so I can't believe
One
you
of
didn't.
those things like lead in paint, like, like, yeah, it's like the super bright paint, and also it gives you like deep, long lasting sickness, except in this case, like it makes it so that your armpits don't smell bad, and also it could blow your house up.
Mm. So I take it then you also don't know that the gas taps in school science labs, if you put a flame on the end of them, you risk blowing up the building.
No, I do know that one because the science teacher informed us of that fact.
Oh, well, do you know how we found out?
Oh God. How
Not
did you find out, Phil?
not that bad. So the teacher did tell us, but only after someone had done it.
Oh, that's unhelpful.
Yeah, and was very nearly, I think, about to close the tap. And literally, the teacher was like, "Do not close that tap." And
Yeah,
I basically
yeah.
went on the whole thing that yeah, you have to go and turn the gas off at the mains because if you close the tap, the valve, it will suck the flame in and it will go right to the tank. I've nearly been
Kablooey.
I've nearly been killed in a school science lab more times than I care to admit.
Honestly, I would wear that as a badge of honor personally. Like nearly being killed in like a monstrously specific way is like maybe like my favorite thing. Like as just like a description of something. Like just the stupidest fucking chain of it. Like what's the stupidest way that you could die in any given situation? Personally, I think being exploded in a school science lab is one of those.
But here's the thing: I think I've nearly been killed at least 3 times in a school science lab.
Oh my God, what the fuck is going on in
Or
British school science labs?
or two. Let's call it 2.5, actually. Well, yeah. Um.
Okay.
So basically, I don't know how school classrooms are divided in your part of the world, but we're divided into sets based on grades. So, like, top set are all the A's and A stars, and bottom set are like D grade or below.
That is remarkably fucking dystopian.
Yes.
That is
And
remarkably fucked up, actually.
yeah,
Holy shit.
that's an oversimplification, I think, but that's the gist of it. And so, because I suck at exams, in exam conditions, and had undiagnosed dyslexia and autism at the time, I always ended up in the bottom sets. For They only did this for the core subjects, by the way, for maths, English, and science. So I was also stuck in classrooms with all the kids that misbehave and were
Yeah.
actually stupid and the troublemakers. And so I think it might have even been the same kid. he put the flame on the gas tap and nearly blew us up. I was one point ran the risk of being a victim of a contamination risk.
Oh my god.
Basically, we would grow. Have you ever done that experiment where you put gel in a petri dish and you grow bacteria?
I did, yeah. Oh my fucking god. Holy shit, Phil.
Yeah, and you know
I
how
was like midway through explaining before my brain like clicked that into place, and I was like, oh god. Holy shit, Phil.
rule number 1 of that class is don't open the petri dish because you don't know what you've grown?
He opened the fucking petri dish, didn't he?
Yeah, and so the teacher was like, "That's a contamination risk. I've now got to go to the science technicians to see if we need to be checked for any being exposed to anything." And then I think the
Okay.
first, like 2.5. I say 2.5 because it didn't necessarily kill me, but I think I became very close to losing my eyesight.
Okay. What
Because
is
did you?
going on in British schools? What is happening?
So did this is the same kid, by the way.
Maybe it's a bad idea to like group together like all the troublemakers in like a grade in the same like classes. Maybe
Yeah.
that's not. Maybe that's a bad idea. Maybe we're doing something wrong there.
Mm. And so, did you ever do the experiment of burning magnesium?
I don't believe so. I didn't end up doing a whole lot of experiments
Right.
because I wasn't in public school very long because it was
Right.
hell.
Well, basically, this one where you put it in like a little pot thing, a tiny little thing, and you burn it, and then you look at the results afterwards or something. Um, but we were told while the magnesium is burning, don't lift the lid because it burns so bright it can blind you. I'll give you 3 guesses.
I don't. Yeah. He fucking lifted the goddamn lid.
Yeah. Not all the way off, thankfully, but it's like, my God. This was also, I think, the same kid who I also chased around the drama room with a sword. I want to specify a wooden sword from the props cupboard, but nonetheless.
Yeah, I choose to believe that it was in fact a real sword actually because I think that's funnier.
Hmm. But well, speaking of science class, did I ever tell you the time I got a practice exam paper back with the feedback of half a mark and the feedback being technically not wrong? Did I ever tell you that story?
What the fuck?
So it was a practice science paper, and I don't know what my head thought process was like, whether it was I was bored of doing practice papers or I was sleep deprived or whatever.
Yeah, we don't. I don't think we have practice. At least in the schools that I went to, we don't have practice papers here. Boy, howdy, am I glad that we don't because that sounds like that sounds like a fucking nightmare. You just
Basically,
have to
what
write
they
like a whole research paper that you basically like just don't get like a big grade on. Like it's just like, is that what I'm hearing?
so basically what it is when you come to do your GCSEs, which determine if you get into further education, essentially. You have test papers for a lot of the subjects and their questions. You fill them in, blah blah. But one of the ways that they would help you practice for the exam conditions was they would get the ones that were used last year as like, and you would do them as preparation. You would get feedback on them later to go over how you answer exam questions and what they look like. For like some, like
Okay.
particularly for like the mathematics ones, it was so you sort of knew roughly what was going to happen and how to answer types of questions when they were laid out.
Okay.
And one of the
That's less
questions,
horrible.
yeah, was like I guess it was to do with sound. I don't remember the specifics now, but it was probably to do with like sound waves. And the question was simply like, what do you hear when a car is speeding towards you? Now, obviously, it was meant to be something like, the sound waves are compressed and shorter as the closer the vehicle gets, that sort of thing. But for reasons I don't know why to this day, the answer I wrote down got half a mark because it was technically not wrong. And do you want to take a guess what that answer was?
A loud noise or something to that effect?
No, I wrote people yelling, "Get out of the way!"
I mean, yeah, that is true. Like, I think I just hate like exams like that because they just don't fucking like they are allergic to like explaining what an answer, what a question like wants from you.
Mm. But that makes my parents laugh, that story, because it is technically not wrong. Of course, it's not the scientific answer they were looking for, but it was still funny nonetheless.
There's fucking on the subject of like really specific or really unspecific like questions on like on an exam. I had this exam once when I was like finishing up school, like this is in like 2020, when the world was ending
Yeah.
and everything was homeschool. So I was finishing up like my schooling, right? And fucking my teacher, my math teacher at the time, Mazakine. Mazakine's great. We love her. She's also genuinely fucking deranged. I love her. Because she wrote in I'm just gonna read for you like a snippet of one of the questions on this test because this test happened to be on Halloween, right? So
Mm.
she decided to theme all of the questions around that. And this question reads, and I'm quoting here, Morgana takes Dreadbox, comma, the box of doom to her and Pandora's shared home where they live. Dreadbox, comma, the box of doom.
Dude, that's much better than the maths questions we ever got. We just have things like, uh,
Oh my god, I
you
forgot
know,
this is crazy.
Bjorn has $10 and wants to buy bananas, and you can buy them either at 5 bananas for $2.50 each, or one banana for 25 cents per banana, which is the better value for money.
Yeah. Fucking okay. So after that sentence, it says, "Well, again quoting, while she tosses and turns, trying to figure out a way to tell her parentheses obviously straight parentheses close parentheses friend Pandora she has feelings for her. Dreadbox, comma the box of doom manifests a ramp made of pure obsidian to try to crush her in the night." And then it was a problem of like coefficient of friction and incline
Right.
related to the ramp of pure obsidian. Mazakine's great. We love Mazakine. She's ludicrous.
Mm.
It's the most unserious test I've ever taken.
To be honest, when you said Halloween and it was when the world was ending, do you know what I half expected the question to be?
What?
It would be, if COVID mutates on Monday, how many will be dead by Friday? Show your
Oh my
workings.
fucking god! Show your work, Jesus Christ!
Yeah. The other thing about maths questions I've never understood is, when they try to present you with like a real life problem,
Yeah,
the thought process of the hypothetical person is actually just no one would actually think like that. It's that sort of
yeah. It's
like,
always like the most like it's always like the most stupid, like ludicrous decision that you could make in a given moment.
it's
Like,
like it's like, Barry wants to resize his patio. He wants to reduce it by 9/25. What are the new dimensions? As like, no one in life ever.
has or will ever specifically want to reduce the size of their patio by 9/25.
Yeah, no one ever thinks in like that term. No one's ever like, you know what? 7/9. That's what I'm thinking. No, they're going, okay, I want to move it back from that tree to the rock. And then you measure it.
Yeah, and then you have to do the math, but you never go into it thinking, yeah, I know this specific angle because like people don't have like math sight. They can't tell the exact angle of something by looking at it.
Mm. But yeah, it's one of those things like, oh, it's the part that you have to accept is that you can creatively disagree with his decision, but you still have to answer the problem.
Yeah.
Although, speaking of schools and stuff, here's a question. You have a smartphone, mobile phone, right?
Yeah, I do.
When did you get your first one?
Oh, let's see. It would have been like
Or like what
sixth
age?
grade.
Yeah, so because I got mine when I started secondary school, so I was about 11, about to turn 12.
Oh yeah, I would have been the same age then, because like that's I guess secondary. I think we call secondary school middle school here. I think.
What's the leaving age?
Uh, uh,
Like, when
I don't.
how old are you when you leave middle school?
Yeah, I know. I don't remember. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, yeah, okay,
It's been
but
a
yeah,
while either
close,
way.
yeah, close enough. But yeah, so I get that. So, did you ever have a phase where you had a ridiculous ringtone?
I did not because no one ever called me.
Oh, well, I had that thing as well, but no one ever called me. But I did have a phase where I had a custom ringtone that I pulled from the internet with the help of my dad, and I'm popping it in our texts and links thing now. This, for about 3 years of my secondary school life, was my ringtone. And thankfully, I never got a call in the middle of
This
class.
is the dumbest fucking ringtone I've ever heard. Like, actually, like, dumbass. I hate it. It's fucking hell. That's hilarious.
Yeah,
What is
but
that from?
so that is from Captain Scarlet and the Mysterons. It's referred to as being filmed in Supermarionation, but it came out in 1967 by a UK filmmaker, Jerry Anderson. If you've ever heard of
Yeah.
Thunderbirds?
I've only ever heard of it because you've mentioned it before.
Okay, never mind. Same basic thing, but basically, it's like a sort of a secret war between uh like this made up international security organization called Spectrum and these essentially invisible Martians called the Mysterons. And yeah, and so they can only be heard over the radios and stuff like that. But basically, they set up each episode for what was going to happen with that opening speech, and it would basically the Mysterons would tell them our evil plan this week, but it would set up the episode in the title sequence.
Huh.
But Captain Scarlet was the main protagonist, and he is an individual who was killed by the Mysterons and made into a Mysteron agent because they can do that. It's called like oh god, I don't remember what it's called. I think in this one, because it had a remake a few years later, but in this one it was like the Mysterons had the secret to reversing matter, so they could destroy something and remake it for their purpose, and they could do that with people as well. And
Just casually ignoring the first law of the second law of thermodynamics.
well, so basically, so what happened is they killed Captain Scarlet, and then they remade him with their Mysteron science as a Mysteron agent. But then, after getting shot and falling, like I think it's like 800 feet and surviving,
Uh,
he breaks free from the Mysteron's control because it turns out he's been remade in such a way that he is like basically immortal. He's referred to as the indestructible Captain Scarlet, and yeah, that's the premise of it.
fucking start of the Red War looking ass guy. But when Gaul throws at the start of the Red War, when Gaul throws the Guardian off the flagship and they just miraculously survive, it's that we found them. It's that guy. We found him.
Well, yeah, and it's basically it takes place in the year like 2068 and stuff like that, and it's yeah. But yeah, that's what it's from. And so every time the Mysterons would do their, I can't find a version of the opening sequence, but they would always open with that whole "This is the voice of the Mysterons," and yeah.
I think if I heard that in the middle of science class, I would never sleep again.
I mean, it was surprisingly dark for a kids show. Looking back on it, because one thing that happened a lot was a lot of innocent people just got blown up on a whim.
Yeah, it's one of those things that like the creatives behind those kind of shows just don't really think about how that looks like if you look at it with a more adult and like the kids don't think about it either in the moment, you know.
Mm.
And then you
But
look back at content you watched when you were a child and you're like, so this is like extremely fucked up, by the way.
yeah. But yeah, again, it was 1967, 68 it came out. But yeah, it was it's one of those things that's got a cult classic following.
Yeah, I think I know the general vibe of what you're talking about, yeah.
But funnily enough, the title sequence has the worst aim even worse than Stormtroopers.
Oh my god, what the fuck is going on in the title sequence?
I'm literally just trying to find you a clip of it now so that you can. Yeah, okay, there we go. So this is like it's not the complete title sequence, but this is how they would do the intro to each episode, and then this is the voice bit would play, and it would sort of outline the events of the episode for the audience.
Wild.
Yeah, but then again, Jerry Anderson knew how to do an intro sequence. Like I've got to show you one that he did a couple years earlier called Stingray. Which is funny if which is about I think it's like about it's a submarine sort of story. But hopefully this one will play. This is how you start and a title sequence.
No, I'm not traveling to the UK. Thank you though.
Oh, you can't see it?
No, there's an advertisement.
Oh.
Okay, that's certainly a oh, Jesus Christ.
Isn't it though? Just you're not you're what like you don't make it 5 seconds in and something blows up.
Yeah. That's certainly attention grabbing, yeah.
Mm. But a show one of Jerry Anderson's shows that I do think you'll love, and I think I've told you about this before. And speaking of which, this is actually another idea for like a little bit of another type of content that I'm going to do. It's not which isn't exclusively with you and me. I'm going to get Ratty involved as well. But because I know about all these sorts of things, it's basically like a Phil's Friends React. So I'll and I don't worry, I won't show you all of the, I won't show you the nuclear war films. Don't worry, I'll save those
Thank
for
you,
Ratty.
Phil. That's how kind of you.
She's already seen some of them, but this one, which was pretty much a hidden gem, is Space 1999, and there are 2 episodes of that I, outside of the first one, that I would love to show you and do a reaction from at some point, like a little watch along thing. But this is a title sequence. It's made by the same people as Stingray and Captain Scarlet. This was like the 70s. And this is like considered to be like the gem between Star Trek that was hidden between Star Trek and Star Wars.
Video unavailable. Cool. I have to open up in a browser.
It's not available?
No, it's not available on Discord. I have to open it up in a browser.
Oh, right. Okay. But while you're doing that, basically the premise of this story is that in the year 1999, there's a base on the moon, and it follows
1999.
Yeah, it follows the crew of Moonbase Alpha after a massive nuclear explosion pushes the moon out of orbit.
Jesus, that's a big fucking explosion.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to imagine how logistically you would even pack that much like fissile material into a single like functional bomb.
Well, it wasn't a bomb. It was because what was happening. The they were storing all of the Earth's nuclear waste on the moon. And they use a bit of pseudoscience mumbo jumbo, but basically, it all built up over time into this essentially this unintended bomb, because of in the end it said it was like a type of magnetic radiation. It's a bit bullshit in terms of that part, but basically what happened, and so it just kept building up and getting hotter and hotter, and when they tried to disperse it, it just went wrong and pushes the moon entirely out of orbit. But yeah, if you're interested, there are 3 episodes, including the first one, of season 1 that I would love to show you and gauge your reaction to, because they're like the 3 sort of best episodes.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. I won't say anything. I'll just say maybe.
Okay. I mean, again, there's no like deadline to watch this, but basically, yeah, all we would do is I would show you because it turns out the whole season is on Internet Archive. So it would basically be just like this, except we'd be watching the episodes and talking about them at the same time. So yeah, it's just a thing to consider in the future.
Maybe.
But yeah, so yeah, that was the thing. Yeah, it's incredible how we got onto that after just talking about silly ringtones.
Yeah, that's certainly a direction.
But yeah. So I suppose my next question would be: is what's going on in your world?
Mostly doing a lot of TTRPG stuff. We killed the guy from the Giga Chad meme yesterday in a campaign I'm in.
Oh, nice.
So you're familiar with the Giga Chad meme, right?
I've heard the name. I think I know what it is, but
okay, hold on. I'm gonna put it in just so I know we're talking about.
okay.
I'm gonna put it's this guy.
Oh yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So we fought a guy named Lucian Thrune in the last session of the game that I'm in, and this is what he looks like, and I think you should just like take that in for a second. Like that guy's jawline has more in common with a fucking block of stone than a human person.
I mean, yeah. Is that an AI generated image or?
No, that's actual art from the book.
Oh right.
So we're playing through an adventure path, which is like a pre-written module essentially. And this is a villain from one of the. We're currently working on closing a mountain pass called the Menador Gap, and this guy's the man in charge that we have just dealt with.
Oh right. I only asked because I just felt like I'd seen elements of that armor before. That was all.
You might have, because he's part of the Thrune family, and they're one of the more iconic things from the Pathfinder setting. You might have seen Hell Knight armor before, and it's very reminiscent of Hell Knight armor.
I don't think it's entirely that. Again, it's more. Again, I think it's more just like Warhammer and Warhammer Fantasy stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely not AI generated. The book that art is from came out in 2015.
Right. Okay. Yeah, because there's just I can see a lot of like Warriors of Chaos and Chaos Space Marine influence in that one.
Yeah, he's this motherfucker with a giant flaming greatsword who has he was a cavalier with a wyvern mount. It was very annoying because he's very agile, and we were at the top of a tower, so it wasn't going well.
Yeah, I only just gonna say I have, just seen similar-esque sort of things. It's probably, again, wouldn't be surprised if it was inspired by Warhammer Fantasy or Warhammer 40k as an example. So, yeah, which I just popped in now for the whole flaming sword thing, and yeah. That's not AI generated over. That's official artwork, I think, from more recent 40k lore.
Somehow I can tell that it's not AI generated, but it has the aura of AI art. I don't know how, it just does.
But yeah, but you can see how, like, you know, because I think 40k has a lot more influence on sort of or Warhammer, like that sort of thing has a bit more influence than people actually give it credit for. It's like the same way that, believe it or not, the Spartan arms from Halo are actually inspired by like the Japanese Gundam mecha from the 80s.
Yeah, somehow that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. Which, yeah, so. But yeah, the whole flaming sword thing, and, you know, I suppose technically the flaming sword comes from the Bible, really, doesn't it?
I suppose this particular sword is just a sword with a flaming enchantment on it.
Oh, the sword in the image I just sent you is, if I remember correctly, it's like the only weapon that can actually kill demons.
Oh yeah, so the guys that were fighting Hell's Rebels is the adventure path, and it's a campaign about fighting devil worshipping fascists. Their House Thrune is a they're technically a royal house in control of the nation of Cheliax, but they're also they're the head of the house. Her name is Her Infernal Magistrix Abigail Thrune the Third, and I think you should just take that name in for a second. Actually, I don't know if it's the third. I might be wrong about that. Abigail. Oh, it's Abigail the Second. My bad.
Well, that image there is Lord Command Rabute Gilliman, Lord Commander of the Imperium, Primarch of the Ultramarines, and ruler of Ultramar. So yeah, he's got quite the long name as well.
Yeah.
Although, funnily enough, the way his name is spelled, there's a bit of a meme that his actual name is Robert Girlyman. But yeah, the whole. And also, just for the record, the two it characters beside him, that's not a perspective thing. He is just that big. He's like 12 foot tall out of his armor or something like that. Because 40k, so of course they are.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically he's a genetically engineered demigod.
Fair.
And again, to put in scale of how powerful he is, you see on his left hand, he's got a gun underneath it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I believe that's a heavy bolter, and that takes the Astartes that I've told you about before. They have to carry that with two hands and a special backpack for the ammo. And he's just got it attached on his wrist.
Huh.
Yeah, 40k. Gotta love that power creep. Yeah. I think the other, again, this is the other thing. I'm trying to avoid getting onto like having recurring themes for this, because it is just talking about whatever.
Yeah.
It's because it's more of it's more of a celebration of our friendship, which is a bit of an odd reason to do a podcast, but
yeah, a bit.
But then again, I suppose it kind of makes sense when you consider that, you know, we can't exactly meet up for coffee.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But yeah, I tell you actually what for one thing I might write down for the next episode is we still need to uh maybe now that at some point now that we actually got a podcast we should remake the food talk, and we also need to do the drink talk.
Well, we've already done the food talk, to be fair.
Yeah, okay, yeah, so we need to do the drink talk. But I'm curious as to how that's gonna go. I have a feeling that actually it probably just turns out that you drink water and nothing else.
That is in fact not the case. But yeah, I guess we'll find out.
Well, yeah, so I'm genuinely curious considering that, you don't do condiments.
Other than, like salt.
Well, salt isn't a condiment, it's a seasoning.
What, I don't know food things, okay?
Well, to be fair, did you see? I saw this thing on Instagram, which was rather hilarious. But I think it was like McDonald's or Burger King in Thailand made a actual cheeseburger that had like that was made up of like 27 slices of cheese or something like that, and
That's
nothing else.
fucking deranged, actually.
Hmm.
That is deeply fucking deranged.
Did I also ever tell you about the time I tried dessert pizza?
That sounds disgusting.
Well, here's the thing. I've seen images of dessert pizza, and back on the fucking pizza again. But anyway, yeah, I tried like dessert pizza. It's basically like pizza with sweet stuff on it, and from what I've seen, it can be really nice. But the one time me and my mum tried it once, we were foolish for expecting anything of standard from the pizza place we got it from because it was a local thing in the backwater of fuck all nowhere, England. And all it turned out to be was just their standard pizza base with Nutella and some marshmallows on it. And it was so disappointing.
That sounds terrible, actually.
It was, yeah. Yeah, dessert pizza. Again, it's another one of those types of food that falls into that category of it's either authentic or it's rubbish.
Yeah, I'd imagine so.
It's like sushi is the same sort of thing. Like you either get authentic sushi or you get store-bought sushi and it's rubbish.
Yeah.
And from what I've also learned is you can apply the same thing to Mexican food.
Absolutely.
Is you either get authentic Mexican food or you get like just sort of like hot sick with cheese on it.
Yeah, as someone as a Chicano girl myself who grew up in California, there's a lot of really good Mexican food in California, and there's also a lot of really, really, really not good Mexican food in California.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we don't actually come across much Mexican food where I am. It's just not common.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But the problem is I'm from what I refer to as beer and chips country.
I think you've told me about this particular thing before.
Basically, all the people around here, their idea of a culinary holiday is going to a particular part of Spain that caters to English tourists and just serves them beer and chips.
Incredible.
Because British people can be fucking unadventurous. Like, I found out...
I get the sense that these people could live off of air. And they wouldn't notice that it wasn't significantly more tasteful than anything else.
The highlight of their week is probably going to the pub to watch football and drink beer. Like this. A very unadventurous bunch. But I actually found out at one point that it turns out the way my family does holidays is weird by British standards. Because we would go on holiday and we would find, like, the zoos, the aquariums, natural sites like cave systems in Australia, that sort of thing, or art galleries, dinosaur museums, science museums, all that sort of stuff. And apparently that's weird Because most people I know apparently just go and sit about on a beach.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
No, I get sitting about on the beach like in the 24 hours after your flight's landed and maybe before your flight to leave. But like the rest of the time, like go out and see stuff.
Like like take part in the world that exists around
Mm,
you, please. I'm begging you. It's literally not that hard.
yeah, it's like I said, like when we go on holiday, we try to look for some sort of nature thing or zoo, an like any of the following: an aquarium, an art gallery, some sort of local history, science or like a cool museum, like usually like dinosaurs, uh, and trying like the wacky food. Like we found this really great Michelin star restaurant hidden in like the mountains of France at one point. It was incredible. But speaking of traveling, here's a mini game you can actually do if you ever go abroad.
A mini game, real life mini game. Wow.
Yeah, well, so basically, I don't know if you have like you don't really have like a thing like a motorway service station, do you? In America.
Uh, based on the fact that I don't know what you mean by that, I will say probably not. No.
So these motorway service stations are kind of like there's a fuel stop to get fuel, but there's also like you can park up and there will be like this sort of like really tiny-esque shopping center essentially, but it will have like a Starbucks and a McDonald's and a KFC and that sort of thing. And they'll usually have like a little shop as well. And basically, they provide stops so that when you're driving along the long motorways, you can stop for a bit, stretch your legs, coffee, toilet break, etc. And basically, the mini game is when you stop in those, if you go into the shop to buy snacks or whatever, you look for brands that you have in your home country, but see if they have different flavors of or variety that you don't get there. So, for example, when we were last in France, have you heard of Powerade?
Yeah, I think we do have Powerade in
Yeah.
America.
So Powerade over here, we get two types at the moment. We get the blue one and the yellow one, which is a mango flavor. But in France, they still have the red one, which isn't available in the UK anymore. And so you would look for the red ones. That's it. That's, as an example, that's how you play the mini game, and you see what you
Okay.
come back with. Because that's the other thing is, for some reason, country brands put variants of things available in other countries that you don't get over here.
If it's to pander to tourism in some sense.
I think so, but like Kit Kat, for example, Japan has all the flavors of Kit Kat that just don't exist anywhere else in the world. Like strawberry Kit Kat, wasabi, mascarpone cheese, you name it, they've got it.
Huh.
But that's actually a cultural thing because in Japan, a Kit Kat isn't like a confectionery snack item; it's a good luck gift.
I suppose that makes sense. Yeah.
Well, mainly because Kit Kat is essentially short for Kitukatsu, which roughly translates to it means to surely win. So you give it to university students just before exam season starts.
Okay, that's kind of cute.
Mm. Oh, Japan, like they love cute stuff in Japan. Turns out they're also obsessed with gacha as a thing I discovered recently. Like like those machines where you put a coin in and you get a random
Yeah.
prize. Yeah, apparently they
Hmm.
love that sort of stuff. That's why so many video games that come out of Japan are gacha games. Yeah, but yeah. Also, speaking of which, I think I mentioned, but I did replace the cable for my machine so we can get around to finishing off Halo Reach at some point.
Oh, wonderful. Okay.
Mm.
I'd be down to do that sometime.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out though how we're gonna do that. Like if I'm gonna make episodes per mission, or if I'm just gonna sort of edit it as a compilation.
Could probably do episodes per mission and then edit it as a compilation afterward. Just put all the episodes together.
Yeah, well, again, it depends. Sort of.
And if there isn't enough stuff in one mission for one episode,
Yeah.
you just throw multiple together.
Well, because the other thing I'm wondering is also, are you going to record or stream your perspective like we did previously?
If I can get it set up, sure. I won't stream probably because I don't have the energy to do that anymore, but I can probably record it if you want.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that you don't have the energy for streaming and stuff anymore, because it was always fun watching
Yeah.
yours.
Yeah, it just kind of got to be that I realized one day I just really wasn't having that much fun with it anymore.
Oh, that's a shame. But I suppose you got to do what's right for you in the end, don't you?
Yeah. It's kind of a hyperfixation thing. I just lose energy for things over time.
Yeah. Well, I suppose also it is quite a technical thing to set up.
Yeah, and I've never been good at technical things. Like that is my biggest weakness in general.
Yeah. But so yeah, well, like I said, we'll figure it out when, because I got to reinstall the actual thing first. Because
Same, yeah.
dude, like I keep forgetting like how big Halo MCC is.
Yeah, it's larger than you would expect.
Well, thankfully you can choose just to install the one game at a time, but it's like 300 gigabytes plus for the whole lot. But I suppose that's what happens when you have like five separate,
fucking games or
five,
6
well,
or so.
5 game engines.
Yeah, in the
Because you've
same
got,
file.
because it's like you've got the one for Reach, the one for 1, 2, and 3, and you've also then got Unreal Engine for the for like the main menu.
Yeah.
Everything all right there? Because your mic just went muted for a second.
Yeah, my mom's here. My mom got home.
Oh right, okay. Yeah, so yeah, the Halo Reach MCC thing. I think we got up to, I'm trying to remember now. We blew up the ship, didn't we, in orbit?
Yes, we did that. I think we actually did finish it, to be honest, but
I
we
think.
didn't record all of it.
Well, I know that we did a playthrough of the whole thing on Legendary once, and then we started doing a series.
Yeah, I don't think we actually finished recording a series based on it.
No,
No.
because originally we had the plan that we were going to record / stream every campaign on Halo MCC. That was the original plan.
Yeah, that was a bit ambitious of us, wasn't it?
I think, well, again, just stuff got in the way.
Yeah.
And also, again, like I said, you've sort of gone off streaming a bit, or mostly entirely. So I wouldn't want to force doing the whole thing now.
Yeah.
But we can always pick it up if you ever decide to give it another go.
Maybe. I don't know.
'Cause-
I won't promise anything because I don't get to live up to my promises when I have ADHD and autism.
Yeah, no, I get it. It's like I said, I've been trying to start doing this all properly for years as well. Like I said, I've been trying to get this all started since I met you.
Yeah.
So
I think I do have to go in a minute here.
Oh no, that's okay. If we can prepare.
Yeah, we can wrap up, yeah.
But yeah, so I guess to everyone listening, thank you for listening. Keep a lookout for future episodes, and hopefully finishing off the Halo Reach series soon. And actually, just one thing before I go. Splitgate open beta, Splitgate 2 open beta starts in a couple of days.
Yeah, I would absolutely be down to do that. I don't know how you get in, or it's just open, right? Yeah.
I think it is just open. Yeah. I think it will be available, like I said, on the 27th. So yeah,
Okay.
we should absolutely do that. I
Mm.
played the alpha, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. But yeah, so I guess keep an eye out for Halo Reach Splitgate 2 in future episodes. And yeah, thank you for listening, and we hope you listen. Share this about, and yeah, make sure to like, comment, subscribe for more. I've been Phil, and that's your
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. That I hi. Goodbye.
And that was Rose. Yeah, so that was another episode of Be Right Back podcast.